All right, folks, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered for Wednesday, February 13th, 2019. Drama in the case of Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax of Virginia. Of course, the DA there in Suffolk County in Boston, he has said that he is willing to pursue the case against Fairfax if Dr. Vanessa Tyson actually files a complaint. We'll tell you the details of that particular story. Also, Tyson spoke at Stanford about the need to believe all victims of sexual assault, not just the rich, those who are white and educated. We have it for you. Also, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, a Muslim woman, has been subject to savage attacks from Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and the right-wing media for a tweet they call anti-Semitic. Now, she apologized that the Democrats came down on her, but that is not enough for Republican hypocrites. Steve King, how about Donald Trump? Linda Sarsour of the Women's March, she will join us. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Omar just crushed a Republican foreign policy advisor at a congressional hearing. This is the big reason they're attacking her, but also don't expect mainstream media to focus on this. They'll focus on her tweets. Also, we have an update on the missing Columbus, Ohio activist Amber Evans. And also, folks, right-wing media are trying to fact-check California Senator Kamala Harris for saying she listened to Tupac and Biggie while smoking weed during college. Well, that's actually not what she said. It's amazing what happens when you actively listen. Also, the NAACP image nominations are out, and we will announce those and tell you who came away some of the big winners. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, the latest involving Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax of Virginia. Now, you'll recall he's been accused by two women of sexual assault. One of them, Dr. Vanessa Tyson, claimed Fairfax forced her to perform oral sex on him at the Democratic National Convention in Boston in 2004. Now, Fairfax denies those charges. Now, the district attorney of Suffolk County, Massachusetts, Rochelle Roland, says she is ready to investigate those allegations if a complaint is filed. Now, Rollins, a Democrat, emailed a letter to lawyers for Tyson informing them that if Tyson wants to file a criminal complaint against Fairfax, her office will investigate. Now, the question is, will she actually do it? Now, Dr. Tyson, she spoke last night in Stanford. She's a professor, of course, at Scripps College in California and a research fellow at Stanford University. And last night, she spoke at Stanford about the need to listen to victims of sexual assault, especially victims from marginalized groups.
And I want to say this. On the topic of credibility, it deeply, deeply concerns me that some women who come forward, and some men too, because I want to make clear that, you know, men and boys are victims of rape as well. But there's a recurring theme, at least when women come forward, that, you know, that this deliberate attempt to try to undermine someone's credibility, right? And also a prioritization or a privileging of women who might come from a higher socioeconomic status. They might come from, you know, maybe a dominant group such as white people. They may come, you know, they may be highly educated. That seems to be a source of credibility from my vantage point. But this is credibility that I think we need to get away from and move away from. because every woman matters. Every survivor matters.
All right, let's discuss this with our panel, Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, president emerita of Bennett College, Joseph Williams, senior news editor, U.S. News and World Report, Sue Zodak, founder of the Zodak Agency. So here's first and foremost. So here you have the district attorney who's saying, if you file a complaint, I'll investigate. So far, Tyson, they've not said they wanted to file a complaint. October 2017, she goes to the Washington Post, not to the district attorney. Washington Post chooses not to run a story. A whole year goes by. Ralph Northam, blackface, comes out, and all of a sudden, she sends a private note to a friend. That note is leaked to a website run by conservatives who ran the Northam blackface photo. So the question is, if you want justice, would you not go to the DA and file a criminal complaint as opposed to say he should resign, or say I'll testify at an impeachment hearing?
You know, Roland, I am so profoundly conflicted about this for any number of reasons. You have a credible black woman who is accusing an extraordinary young black man of sexual assault. This has come out in an uncanny time, And so I usually say believe the woman, but I posted something on my Facebook page. I said, no, don't believe the woman. Let's have an investigation. Bob Johnson offered to spend $150,000 doing an investigation. He's publicized that. She said no, she wants to have some kind of impeachment hearing.
But here's the problem for me with that, Joseph. You have a process right now. You have a district attorney who is responsible for investigating. That doesn't require the Virginia Democrats to launch an impeachment hearing. It doesn't require anything else. If the complaint is filed, she says, I will investigate. If you want an investigation, now here's a piece. Fairfax can't call on the DA to do it. It has to be a complaint from Tyson.
That's exactly
well, he's calling the FBI. The reality is they have no jurisdiction. So if you say, believe me, and I'm credible, why not take the DA up?
Well, and that's I guess that's part of the problem, is that we have a real disconnect between what she says she wants, which is justice, and what's actually happening. And it's a really tricky issue if you're Justin Fairfax or any other African American man, if you want to go that route, because it's, you know, the whole process speaks to the worst tropes about black men as sexual predators, but also to African American women as hypersexual or people who aren't normally considered victims, as the doctor said. And it seems like you would want to go and clean everything up, having nonpartisan, impartial investigation to try to get down to the root of the facts. But you only have two people who were in that room who actually know what happened.
So I'll bring in the Meredith Watson case. Same thing. Happens in North Carolina. She sends a letter. Her lawyer sends a letter to Fairfax lawyers. If you resign by this time, we won't go public. Then they go public. They've since released statements saying, oh, we have corroborating information, the people who she told, we have Facebook's messages, we will testify in front of an impeachment hearing. But same thing. If you actually want, and then they said in the statement, she's not going to speak about it again. I just want him to resign. But if you want justice, and if you want there to be a real investigation, if you're Watson, why not go to the district attorney where you say it happened and file a complaint?
These women are, allegedly victims. I think it's very odd that we're starting this conversation questioning what these women should do, as if the onus of what happens next is on their, on top of the burden of everything being on them, as if the future, the justice of everything that's happening is on them. I think going through a trial is an extremely difficult thing.
No. But hold on. Okay. So let's pull it back. Explain to me the difference in testifying in an impeachment hearing but not wanting to file a criminal complaint.
I can say, as a woman in the workplace, let's say, there is a difference between saying, I want to draw a line for other women or for other men to say, I don't want this man in a position of leadership, especially at a symbol at this level, at a statewide and a nationally recognized public office. And another thing to say, I would like this person to go to jail.
But Julian, I'm still trying to understand this. If the lawyers say they are willing to testify in an impeachment hearing, which is a political process, you are saying, I will publicly talk about what happened. If the criminal process is actually there, and that's actually where an investigation can be launched, I'm not understanding why not file that complaint.
Roland, you know, as an elder, my heart is totally broken about this for any number of reasons. I think Justin Fairfax is an amazing young man. I've met him. I think he's amazing. I also, as a feminist, listen to these women, and they seem credible. But the timing is funky. There are other words, but let's just call it funky. The timing is bad. And the other thing that's bad is, as you say, you don't have to go to the statute of limitations is not over in Suffolk County, Boston. So you could still go to Suffolk County and file a complaint. I do think that the statute is up in North Carolina.
Don't know, but I got you.
But I think it is. But at the same time, now Duke University is investigating because Ms. Watson's complaints may not be corroborated.
Watson said that she went to a dean at Duke to allege that a Duke basketball player raped her. They said they were not familiar with that. They launched an investigation.
They're looking into it. They're looking into it. And as a former college president, what I would say is that these things are not swept under the rug. I mean, they're not swept under the rug. So I really want to see an investigation. I commend Bob Johnson for saying, let me put some money on the table for an independent investigator. And I'm just really, like I said, I'm just heartbroken.
I just think, again, I totally understand your point, Sue, about not wanting someone to really relive trauma. But if you say, I'm willing to relive the trauma in an impeachment hearing, to me, if there is a process that's in place right now, because first of all, if you're Tyson or Watson, you have to wait to see if the Virginia legislature actually starts an impeachment process. The DA is saying, if you file a complaint today, I will immediately investigate. That doesn't require waiting on Virginia. It doesn't require hearing from the FBI or Fairfax. It means it can start now.
An impeachment process takes that person out of public life. That may be, I can see how.
Takes who out?
Well, but also
Fairfax. If they try to impeach
Fairfax,
okay, but if you file a criminal complaint and they substantiate it, hell, he gonna
take him out of public life.
Well, but I also think the impeachment process is a little specious at this point, not the least of which, according to what I've read about the Constitution, these were not high crimes or misdemeanors committed while he was in a position of power.
Correct.
And that, I think, is a bit tricky when you start talking about anybody testifying.
This is all I'm saying. If you want an investigation, if you say,
I don't think these women want that at either of those.
No,
what do you think they want?
If we're going to sit here and interpret these women.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not interpreting. I'm reading exactly what their lawyers have said.
Well, and also,
the lawyer from Meredith Watson released a statement where she said, my client and Tyson are prepared to testify at an impeachment hearing. And what I'm saying is, if you are willing to testify at an impeachment hearing, why would you not file a criminal complaint?
Roland, you know, the other thing about, I hate to do this because I know my feminist friends are going to beat me up. But there's this thing called a bad hookup. You know, there's just a thing called, I am really trying to struggle with two very divergent stories. They both were in the same room. He says consensual sex. They say non-consensual sex. It's been, what, at least 15 years.
Yeah, 2000, summer 2004.
Where they both have come forward. And while I don't want to dismiss any woman, I also don't want to dismiss any man.
Right. I'm not, here's the deal. I'm not dismissing her or him. What I am saying that if an allegation is alleged and you say, this happened to me and I want justice, if the statute of limitations hasn't run out and a DA is saying, I am ready to investigate. That means if you're Dr. Tyson, you don't have to wait on anybody. Now, what it does, though, means that you are now in a criminal proceeding, meaning every statement you now make, every statement you now give has to be completely truthful. See, remember, the legal standard is different because if you testify in an impeachment hearing, it's a totally different standard from in a criminal case. I'm just saying, if there's a process that's available to me right now, I'm going to avail myself of the existing process to get this thing started. I'm not going to wait to see if Virginia Democrats decide to file impeachment charges.
I love this level-headed conversation that way. I mean, where was this level-headed, let's hear them out, let's have a process when we're talking about Justice Kavanaugh?
Okay,
I mean,
first of all, hold on, stop.
20 years ago, there was both there. In a situation
1 second.
where you couldn't, the woman couldn't even identify the house or place or date.
First and foremost,
I mean,
this show launched in September. What did this show say? There should be an investigation. No, wait.
Exactly, you did.
No.
Yeah.
The difference on the Kavanaugh is that
the woman couldn't remember.
Wait. No,
where
Sue,
it happened,
Sue.
the date,
Sue,
the other people there.
Sue, we deal with facts.
Those are the facts.
No, the difference is
Sue, you're wrong.
the Republicans in the Senate did not want an investigation. That's the difference. No.
Because there weren't any. Wait. Way fewer facts.
No. The point of an investigation is to ascertain
You couldn't
the truth.
even. They couldn't even get a prosecutor to prosecute.
Sue, just calm down for a second and realize that they didn't even interview all the people who are available to be interviewed. No, they did not interview the FBI. The FBI
who stepped forward and said
they did not interview
I got it. All I'm
everybody
saying-
who was available. But here's Roland. The bottom line for me is this: I have little girls, as you know, my students. I have little boys, my godchildren, my nephews. I want to hear both sides. I don't want my nephew or my godchild to be railroaded behind some BS. And we have to, while we believe the women, we also have to hear the men. And that's the issue here.
And that's why if you have an investigation, that's what...
Justin Fairfax, his life is over. His law firm has put him on suspension. I mean, and, his life, and he was a rising star. I'm not saying he's perfect, and I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But what I do know is that this is problematic, and we have to listen to both sides.
It's very simple. You have an investigation. The question then becomes, who does the investigation? For a week, I have been saying on this show, is it going to be Boston? Is it going to be North Carolina? Is it going to be the FBI? The FBI actually doesn't have jurisdiction. Statute of limitations, if they run out of North Carolina, run out. Here you have a district attorney in Suffolk County saying, if a complaint is filed, I'm ready to investigate. The question now is, will Dr. Tyson and her lawyers file that complaint? And if they don't file that complaint, you have to ask why.
And then you have Bob Johnson, who said...
Well, but that's here's the deal. The reason Bob's offer is irrelevant to me is because he's saying independent investigation. The DA can do an independent investigation. The DA has all of the mechanisms in place. A law firm doing something independent, I don't have to cooperate with you.
Okay.
But if the DA subpoenas me, I gotta talk to you. That's why I'm saying that this is the process that is sitting right before us. The question is, will they actually file the complaint? And all I'm saying is, if they don't file the complaint, but they say, I will testify in an impeachment hearing, it raises a lot of other questions because I'm willing to testify over here, but not over here.
Yeah.
Why? So we'll see exactly what happens. Let's talk about what happened in Miami, folks. 4 former Miami firefighters are facing criminal charges for defacing the family photographs of a fellow firefighter. There was a noose placed near the photos, but they're not being charged for that, as the Miami-Dade State's Attorney's Office cannot nail down who placed the noose. And the 4 who have already lost their jobs over the incident in 2017 will be charged with criminal mischief. Lieutenant Robert Webster discovered a hangman's noose and sexual images drawn on his family photos. Joining us right now is the head of the NAACP, Reuben Roberts, the president of Miami-Dade NAACP. Reuben, when we talk about this case here, the firefighters lost their job. What do you make of, again, these attacks on this firefighter and this news?
Well, I think it's a very tragic event. For those of us who are from the African American community, we understand what a noose means. And we understand that it's been used as a terroristic tool to really keep black people in their place or put fear in black people. And so this thing that those firefighters, and it was 6, by the way, that were ultimately fired, and 4 that were ultimately charged. And this event was something that, I couldn't even imagine if I had faced come into my office or my room and see these drawings that are on my family photos. To me, it's a threat. You're drawing these sexually explicit images on your wife and your children's photos. It's just, to me, is unconscionable for anyone to do something like that. There's nothing about that rings horseplay. It's something more sinister.
And not only that, the fact that you have prosecutors who are moving forward. A lot of these cases before, they fire folks and they say that's it. But for them to say fired 2 years ago, we're still going to prosecute, is still significant.
Well, the reason why they're prosecuting is because we got involved. The Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, our legal redress team, and myself, we got involved. We contacted Webster when we found out about the incident, and to follow up with it. The story ran a little bit late. When I followed up with them, I found out that the case had been closed. So I reached out to our state attorney, and I said, "Listen, this is very troubling. Is there something that these firefighters can be charged with?" And subsequently, the case was reopened. They assigned a new ASA, and they found areas that they can charge the firefighters. In fact, one of the firefighters has a felony charge, so that will definitely eliminate him from being a firefighter in the future at the Miami-Dade, at the City of Miami Fire Department, because of the felony charge. But there's something more I want you to follow up with, Roland. These firefighters are actually in arbitration to try to get their jobs back. Mm-hmm. So it happens all of the time.
Yep,
you see it with police, you see it with the fire, and there's a certain protection that they have. It seems like it's a professional courtesy or what have you. And so we're going to continue to fight this fight to make sure that these firefighters are not reinstated. I don't want anyone coming out as a paramedic or a firefighter to protect me or save me. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel safe. If they feel that they can put a noose or they can draw sexually explicit photos on my family's photographs. And so to me, these folks should not be in the business of public safety.
All right, then, Reuben Roberts, I appreciate it. First of all, congratulations. Great job on this. We'll be following this story throughout.
Thank you.
All right, folks, let's talk now about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, a Democrat from Minnesota, one of 2 new members of the House of Representatives, and one of the first 2 female Muslim members of Congress. Now, it's very interesting what's been going on here. It's not surprising that her views given Israel by most politicians, Democrats and Republicans. Now, note I said Israel and not Jewish people. However, there's a tendency to equate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. They're not the same. However, when Congressman Omar put out this tweet, it's all about the Benjamins, baby, commenting on this tweet from journalist Glenn Greenwald. Okay, this is the tweet. GOP leader Kevin McCarthy threatens punishment for Ilhan, MN, and Rashida Tlaib over their criticisms of Israel. It's stunning how much time U.S. political leaders spend defending a foreign nation, even if it means attacking free speech rights of Americans. So she tweets, it's all about the Benjamins. Huge uproar. Folks begin to condemn her, saying she's playing into this whole view that Jews control politics because of money. Now, remember, all about the Benjamins. Critics say it was anti-Semitic, play into anti-Semitic tropes about Jews and money. Now, Congressman Omar issued what she described as an unequivocal apology. This came after, though, after the Democratic leadership blasted her for the tweets. She wrote, "Listening and learning, but standing strong. Anti-Semitism is real, and I am grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. I unequivocally apologize. At the same time, I reaffirm the problematic role of lobbyists in our politics, whether it be AIPAC, which is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the NRA, or the fossil fuel industry. It's gone on too long, and we must be willing to address it." Now, for Republicans, they obviously want to distract from all the drama with Trump and his wall. They continue to attack her. Trump now says she should resign from Congress. Yeah, the same guy who said there were fine people on both sides of Charlottesville. The white supremacists have screamed at the rally, "Jews will not replace us." And Mercedes Schlapp of the White House Communications Shop had trouble explaining Trump's position on CNN.
The president similarly called for the resignation of Congressman Steve King, who, as you know, defended in public comments white nationalism. Will he call for his resignation?
Yeah, I have to say that Congresswoman Omar's comments are horrific. I mean, the mere fact that we know that anti-Semitism has no place in Congress, the mere fact that she's attacked the Jewish people, that she's attacked the state of Israel, that then she goes and has a continual pattern of this is very disturbing. And it is why he called for not only her resignation, but for resigning from the Foreign Affairs Committee. You know, the president was critical of Steve King. He applauded Congress when they took action to strip him from his committee position. And in essence, we don't have, there's no room for anti-Semitism. There is no room for white nationalism remarks coming from any of these members of Congress.
Fair enough, but then why not hold Steve King to the same standard? I mean, he's repeated,
Look, we were very tough
repeated
on Steve
Nazi
King.
comments, retweeted them. He's talked about white nationalism.
But when you look at Congresswoman Omar and her comments, I mean, they're appalling.
Now, this was interesting. Vice President Mike Pence also wants her to be punished. It is the same guy who said that he was proud to serve in the House with white nationalist Congressman, Republican Steve King of Iowa. And House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is one of her harshest critics, but he tweeted this during the midterm campaign. "We cannot allow Soros, Steyer, and Bloomberg to buy this election. Get out and vote Republican November 6th. Hashtag MAGA. Bloomberg, Soros, and Steyer are all Jewish." I'm not quite sure I understand the difference between the McCarthy and Omar tweets. Joining us right now is Women's March organizer Linda Saussure. So Linda, it was interesting here. Greenwald is tweeting about Republicans and Democrats constantly criticizing anybody who criticizes Israel. She says all about the Benjamins. Well, we understand about donations. So how all of a sudden is that anti-Semitic when she's talking about the influence on politics?
I mean, this whole debate, Roland, has been absolutely outrageous and ludicrous, especially in light of real anti-Semitism, particularly anti-Semitism that is violent, that killed 11 innocent Jewish worshippers in Pittsburgh, a man who was inspired by this administration and by white nationalism. The bottom line here is that Ilhan was not saying anything wrong. What she was trying to say, and maybe to our Jewish allies, she could have used better words, is reaffirming the role of lobbyists in our political discourse and in the way in which we do politics. We do it all the time, Roland. We went after the NRA, the Women's March, went and protested the NRA. We talk about fossil fuel industry. We talk about big pharmaceuticals. But for some reason, the minute you even dare or have the audacity to go after Israel or to critique the state of Israel for their human rights violations against Palestinians, it gets equated with anti-Semitism. But it's part of a pattern. So I didn't look at the incident with Ilhan Omar as something that was a standalone incident. I'm thinking about Mark Lamont Hill and CNN. I'm thinking about Angela Davis and the rescinding of her award, which I know they're giving her it again. I'm looking at the harsh criticism and backlash that Michelle Alexander got for writing in the New York Times. I'm thinking about the criticism that Tamika Mallory of the Women's March has received. It is a pattern of going after particularly Black intellectuals and Black leaders who have the audacity to say that what the state of Israel is doing to Palestinian people is wrong, and calling out the influences of lobbies like AIPAC. That's really, for me, the bottom line of what was happening here.
Well, and also Ryan Grimm wrote a piece where Al Jazeera had done an undercover investigation, hidden camera, but they chose not to air it, but eventually it got out there, where they actually had this hidden video of several organizations, one organization where they were caught on tape saying, we control politicians with money. And so the problem here is that if you render any criticism of Israel, it's automatically anti-Semitic. And so it's like an automatic brushback of any criticism that you render. If you choose to say that the Palestinian people should also be able to live peacefully in their own country, anti-Semitic. And it's as if we can't actually have a conversation about another country and the fact that Americans, that billions of American tax dollars also goes to that country. It's as if we can't have a discussion.
And what's even more interesting, Roland, is that, for example, when I critique, or you and others critique, the Saudi Arabia for their human rights violations against the Saudi people and their ways in which they subjugate women there, and the war on Yemen, that they are literally engaging in an onslaught war on Yemen, killing little Yemeni babies. When we critique the state of, when we critique Saudi Arabia, no one says it's Islamophobic because Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. And what's actually anti-Semitic is trying to equate the entire Jewish people in the world with Israel. Not all Jewish people are Zionists. Not all Jewish people are pro-Israel. Like, the Jewish people are diverse. They are Black, they are white, they are Eastern European, there are converts to Judaism, there's Arab Jews, many of whom lived with the Palestinian people and coexisted there for hundreds of years. So this idea that Israel is synonymous with the Jewish people in of itself is anti-Semitic, and no one calls that out. And what I know about Ilhan Omar, and I know her personally, is she is a woman who came out of war. She came here to the United States as a refugee. She moved up the ranks as a Black refugee and became a member of Congress. And today, Roland, she was back to work. She was holding Elliot Abrams accountable for war crimes. She was holding him accountable to the war crimes that have been committed in Central America in places like Guatemala. She is not fazed by this. The real problem here is they already were outraged that a Black Muslim woman, refugee from Somalia, found herself on the Foreign Relations Committee. And they do not want women or anyone who's critical of the state of Israel on that committee. She has specifically critiqued Saudi Arabia and has talked about the largest arms deals and our complicity in the war in Yemen. And the Saudi government has went after her. She is unbossed, and we have to give her grace. I mean, I'm watching people today defending a tweet that came out of the Israeli government about war on Iran, and people saying, well, no, there was a bad translation. I don't think that that's what they meant. If you have the opportunity to defend a war criminal like Netanyahu, but you can't find the same grace for a Black Muslim congresswoman who could have used better words, that is absolutely hypocritical. And for me personally, I stand unequivocally with Ilhan. I know her heart, and we need to stand with her as a woman of color in Congress.
All right, letting this all soar. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So we'll go my panel on this. Again, just real simple. Sue, why can't we criticize Israel?
No, I agree with you on the point that this is a teaching moment where we should explain to people the difference between being able to talk about foreign policy and two countries, whether their name happens to be Israel or any other, Saudi Arabia or any other country, and the actual definition of being anti-Semitic. I think we all need to do better in explaining to everyone, our kids, the public, whoever, that there is a difference between those two conversations, and they are not one and the same activity or the same conversation.
Julian, isn't she getting criticized? Let's just be honest. Because she's a Muslim?
Exactly.
If she was not Muslim, you would not have level of criticism against her.
Well, there are three levels of this, Roland. First of all, because she's Muslim, that's really important. Secondly, because in this country, any criticism of Israel is seen as anti-Semitic. As Linda Sarsour said, Angela Davis, Mark Lamont Hill, we can call the roll. If you criticize the fact that there is an occupation of Palestinians whose human rights are being violated, but if you say that, and somebody gonna call me and say I'm anti-Semitic, no, I'm not. I love my Jewish brothers and sisters, but Jewish and Israel are not the same thing, and we've got to really deal with that. And the third thing is the attack on black public figures and black intellectuals around this issue. And it really is about creating some space. Again, Angela Davis, Tamika Mallory, we call the roll. And so we have to stand up for them and say it's really possible to be a human rights advocate and also to have challenges with what Netanyahu is doing in Israel. We have to say that. And people cannot be thrown under the bus just because they say that. And therein lies the problem.
Joseph, we want to talk about, again, when you talk about the reality with Israel, we have to deal with, historically, we discussed it on this show, Israel sold arms to the racist apartheid regime in South Africa. Those are facts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that also this runs along a continuum, right? I mean, black woman, Muslim, Israel has done some things that and I guess when I'm talking about the continuum, I mean like the liberal wing of the Democratic Party or the establishment wing of the Democratic Party almost is just as much involved in this or invested in defense of Israel as the Republicans are. And it was really interesting to hear Mercedes Slapp say that there is no room for anti-Semitism.
But it's not anti-Semitism.
Well, I mean, number one, and number two, Steve King, for real? I mean, you know, there's plenty of room in the Republican Party for this. There isn't so much in the Democratic Party, and I think that's one of the things that's been asymmetrical about this whole discussion.
The other thing, really, is that people have not surrounded people like Ilhan. They've not surrounded the Congresswoman with support. What truly irritates me is that the Democratic powers that be would smack this woman down for a comment without asking for other kinds of resignation. I love Nancy Pelosi, homegirl, all that. She wrong on this.
That was called trying to quickly end this to become a controversy. But let me pull this up. So go to my computer, my iPad, Henry. So Manu Raju, CNN, tweeted this: Representative Ilhan Omar in no mood to talk about her controversies this week. First, she said no, thank you, when asked to comment on Trump saying she should resign. Second time I saw her, she yelled, "Are you serious?" when I tried to question her. Now, others have said she wasn't yelling. But again, when you put this out, that she yelled, she snapped.
And a black woman.
She snapped. And she said, I've already addressed it. And she's moving on. But again, this is sort of, what they focus on, as opposed to also what she actually does. And so this happened today. Elliot Abrams, of course, the man who was convicted to lying to Congress in the Iran-Contra scandal, is being appointed to a new position. Now, today, Congressman Omar began to question him on some various issues. I'm going to play for you what took place on Capitol Hill. They're not going to be talking about when it comes to Representative Omar.
Thank you. Ms. Omar.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your testimonies. Mr. Adams, in 1991, you pleaded guilty to 2 counts of withholding information from Congress regarding your involvement in the Iran-Contra affair, for which you were later pardoned by President George H.W. Bush. I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I can respond to that.
It wasn't a question.
That
was not a question. I reserve the right to my time.
It is not right.
That was
Members
not
of
a
this
question.
Committee can attack
On February
a witness
8th,
who is not permitted to reply.
that was not a question. Thank you for your participation. On February 8th, 1982, you testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about U.S. policy in El Salvador. In that hearing, you dismissed as communist propaganda report about the massacre of El Mozote, in which more than 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered by U.S. trained troops. During that massacre, some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed them. Girls before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Yes or no, do you still think so?
From the day that President Duarte was elected in a free election to this day, El Salvador has been a democracy. That's a fabulous achievement.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
Yes or no?
No.
I will
Sorry,
take,
Mr.
I will
Chairman,
take
but
that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Whether you, under your watch, a genocide will take place and you will look the other way because American interests were being upheld is a fair question, because the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country, that we think about what our actions could be and how we believe our values are being furthered. That is my question. Will you make sure that human rights are not violated and that we uphold international and human rights?
I suppose there is a question in there, and the answer is that the entire thrust of American policy in Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan people's effort to restore democracy to their country. That's our policy.
I don't think anybody disputes that. The question I had for you is that does the interest of the United States include protecting human rights and include protecting people against genocide?
That is always the position of the United States.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
Joseph, a few times you about to come out your chair as Abrams responded.
Well, the arrogance is just breathtaking. I mean, you know, I was thinking, number one, he doesn't really like being questioned by a woman who looks like her. Number two, he has a record, a record in which this stuff is clearly established, that this is a very legitimate line of questioning. And number three, you have a woman who is a war refugee who you are disrespecting in front of the entire Congress. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And I think that Abrams, if he has a shred of integrity, will take himself off for just that line of questioning alone.
So the reality is he lied to Congress in the Iran-Contra scandal. What she hit him with, he actually did. He turned his back on human rights atrocities in those countries. It is undeniable. And to now go, I'm not even going to answer that question. I don't even see how that's even relevant. Yes. What she is saying is, why are we going to send you to Venezuela when you have a track record of turning your back on human rights abuses?
Doing the right thing.
That's kind of fair to me.
No, I think her line of questioning is fair. I'm confused, though, whether you're tying this with whether or not she should have been censured or / punished for obnoxious kind of childish tweeting.
No, hold on.
Okay.
No,
Wait a minute.
hold on, stop.
I just want to be
hold
sure
on, one
we're
second.
changing
No,
topics.
first of all, of course
You
I
know
changed.
what I mean?
Of course I changed topics.
Okay,
I just
all right.
played a 4.5 minute
clear for the
I just played a 4.5 minute sound bite.
I get it.
I'm asking you.
At the beginning, you said, "Well, the whole thing is a conspiracy to get her
No,
off this
that's
committee."
that's not what I said.
You know what I mean?
No,
And
what
that
I
the right-wing-
no,
Mr.
that's not what I
let's
said.
Go back to tape.
Sue,
You said
Sue,
the right-wing media was wanting to cover this, to
Sue,
cover up
this is what I
for her
said.
being
No,
taken
Sue,
off this committee.
you're wrong. First of all, she's on the committee.
Right.
She has not been taken off.
I get
what
it.
I said is that media will be focusing on her tweets and not this exchange, which I'm about to play.
Right.
That's what I said.
All right.
I know
As long
exactly
as
what I said.
As long as we're clear.
Oh, no. I'm very clear.
As long as
I'm never unclear.
You know, the fact is that this man was so profoundly disrespectful of a member of Congress. That's what we have to deal with. She is a member of Congress. She was duly elected by her constituents. Whatever she tweeted is immaterial. She apologized for whatever. I would not have apologized, but that's another story. But here's the point. She is asking legitimate questions about Abrams' track record. And he basically dissed her. And frankly, some of her colleagues should have jumped in and said, dude, answer the question. Sue, you're wrong. You were so
said
wrong.
there wasn't a
Sue,
question.
No, stop.
She did not say it wasn't a question.
Okay, hold on.
She said there was a question.
If we're going to be factual, her initial statement, she says, that was not a question, it was a statement. Later, she asked him specifically and said yes or no on 2 different occasions. Then she asked additional questions. Go.
But Roland, the other thing is that he interrupted her and said that was not a question. She said, I haven't gotten to my question yet.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about in terms of profound disrespect. It is customary in Congress for members to bloviate before they go to the question. We've seen it I don't know how many times. You make your statement, then you ask a question. He did not give her the basic respect of allowing her to ask her question. He used white male privilege to essentially attempt to eviscerate her comment, her statement, and her presence, and that's just wrong.
Well, first of all, the fact that Donald Trump would even, out of all the people out here in this world, that he would decide to appoint somebody
yes.
who admitted, was convicted of lying to Congress, and it required a pardon. That's the person who should never be serving in a U.S. foreign policy position again.
And
But that's his contempt.
How did he get there? Who picked him?
Easy.
But
that's Mr. Trump's contempt for Congress. It's his contempt for truth that we've seen for these past 2 years.
The same neocons who have no problem with the United States meddling in other nations. I would not be surprised if John Bolton was involved with this. And to her point, and she's absolutely right, whether we want to own it or not, if you want to, you should actually go look at Stephen Kinzer's book, Overthrow. The reality is this nation has indeed played a significant role in the overthrowing of numerous countries. The reason the Congo today is still struggling with democracy is because this country, shortly after it gained its independence from Belgium, was responsible for the death of Patrice Lumumba, because we did not want him buying guns from the Russians, but we didn't want to sell them guns because they said we must protect our country. This nation, we know damn well what happened with Allende in Chile. We put Pinochet in control. We know exactly what happened with the Sandinistas. We know exactly we cannot deny the reality that America has overthrown other nations, and we say it for our interest, and we didn't give a damn about the people in those countries.
Well, not to mention the fact that the President of the United States has said on multiple occasions military options are on the table in Venezuela.
And let's just use a
Venezuela
three-letter word.
also has some U.S. mischief was involved in Venezuela.
Three-letter word, oil.
Period.
Three-letter word, oil. That's
so,
all.
I mean, again, all I'm saying is this here. She's a member of Congress, and she had the right to question him, and it was his arrogance, his absolute arrogance, and unwilling and to say, I'm not going to answer that question. And that, to me, is where the chair, the ranking Democrat, who was the chair, should have said, sir, when you are asked a question by a member of Congress,
you will answer
the question. They did not back her up, and that should have happened.
Well, I think there's a common thread through all of this. I mean, if we go back to the Israel tweet, I mean, and to these, to Abrams's refusal to treat a member of Congress with respect, there's a thread here. I mean, and the thread to me seems to be a bit of arrogance and racial animosity towards one of the first Muslim women to serve in Congress. I mean, it seems easy to me to see that you do have a member who, however inarticulately, she tweeted about her disrespect or her dislike of Israel-U.S. policy. She was roundly censured, and yet there's still more pile-on.
Well, hold on, stop.
She's
One
Muslim
second,
or is it
stop.
her age,
Stop.
though?
First,
Wait a minute.
Hold on, stop. First, no, she wasn't censured.
Well, not censured. You're
wasn't
absolutely
censured.
right.
That's
Correct.
an actual process.
That is correct.
They criticized her, and they made her apologize.
Insisted that she apologize.
Right, but she was. No, what'd you say?
I said, is it that she's Muslim or is it her age?
Hell no, she's
Well,
Muslim.
hell,
Hell no. It ain't got nothing to do with her age.
Does any of that
But-
matter,
but-
quite frankly?
But
I
it
mean,
doesn't matter, but I'm
she was
saying the
elected
phrasing,
member.
the tweet, the reference to the Benjamins,
She was
it's a millennium. I mean, it's
elected.
She's elected.
Duly elected.
She's talking
I
about-
agree. I'm not saying.
She's talking about whether or not the-
I'm just saying,
or
it's the
85.
disrespect coming
She was
towards
duly
her because
elected.
she's young.
And
Okay,
we have to accept the fact that she was duly elected.
I don't give a damn how
All
young
about-
she is.
All about the Benjamins.
No, that's
all about
I'm
the
just saying
Benjamins
that
is
that a problem?
They are
it's
disrespecting
a
her
conversation.
because she's a Muslim woman. Period.
And
They
then-
don't like having to face questions from her. And I don't care how young she is. I don't care how young Ocasio-Cortez is. They got a pen. They were elected, and you give them the respect as a member of Congress. All right, folks, I got to go to a break. We come back. A little more Roland Martin Unfiltered. Hey, fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, folks, a word from one of our partners. Are you desperate for a good night's sleep? Man, I should have done this last night because I could not go to sleep. Then listen up. Studies show lack of sleep causes stress, irritability, weight gain, and even early death. But you already know how bad it is when you don't get enough sleep. And you try sleeping pills with their annoying and potentially dangerous side effects. Maybe you wasted money on the latest miracle pillow that promises a good night's sleep, but that's all BS. If you've done all of that, here's a solution. It's convenient, inexpensive, has zero side effects. So if you want to experience deep, restful sleep, starting tonight, visit www.sleepmusic.com. Now, this weird little known trick is already helping thousands of people around the world experience better sleep, deeper rest, and happier mornings. And with a full 90-day money-back satisfaction guarantee, what have you got to lose? All you got to do is visit sleepmusic.com to see how this amazing sleep solution can help you. And just use the promo code RADIO to get $10 off. Just go to www.sleepmusic.com and use the promo code RADIO to get $10 off. And so, trust me, I'll be trying that tonight because I ain't getting much sleep last night. All right, folks. An update on the case of Amber Evans, the black female activist missing in Columbus, Ohio. Police say there's no evidence of foul play in the case of her disappearance. She's been missing now for 10 days. Folks, if you have any information about her, please call the Columbus, Ohio Police Department Missing Persons Unit at 614-645-4280. 614-645-4280. And we certainly want to find this sister. All right, folks, when the Wisconsin State Assembly went to pass their annual resolution honoring Black History Month, Colin Kaepernick's name came up. The Wisconsin Assembly Black Caucus wanted to honor, among others, Kaepernick, who was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But the Republicans said, oh, no, you not. In the end, the Assembly voted on two separate resolutions, one with Kaepernick and one without. So that's petty. It's petty. Here's a guy from Wisconsin who led his team to the Super Bowl, okay? Starting quarterback. So,
the flag,
no.
the flag, petty?
I'm sorry. First of all,
That's what you're saying.
Well,
That's
he
what
didn't.
you're
No, he didn't.
That's what you're saying.
Okay, hold on.
He didn't disrespect the flag. He was kneeling in protest.
That's your opinion.
Protest, no, it is it's a fact.
It's a
Protest.
fact.
That's your
He did not
opinion.
disrespect the flag.
Disrespect is an opinion. It's not a fact.
Disrespecting a flag is burning
Well,
a flag.
guess what?
okay, hold up. Let me also correct you on something. He initially was sitting. It was a former special forces military member, who said
Kneel.
sitting is disrespect. It's better if you kneel. And he stood, wait a minute, and when he did kneel, that special forces person stood next to him with his hand on his shoulder.
So
Now, wait a minute.
Opinions.
Excuse me?
Those are two people's opinions.
So wait, last I checked, can you protest in America?
You can, but on the job, on television,
Wait.
I don't know.
Wait.
What does a protest, in your opinion, look like, though?
I think
He didn't
it's something
burn
that
the
you do
flag,
on your
Sue.
private time.
No.
Sue, he did
Sue,
not burn the flag.
Are you allowed to burn the flag?
No, I don't believe
That's
you're
a lie. The Supreme Court actually ruled that it is free speech to actually burn the flag. At no point did he step on the flag. He didn't piss on the flag. He didn't trip on the flag. In fact, there was no flag.
I'm not talking about whether there was a criminal offense. I'm talking about whether it's hurtful
No,
to people's
there is no
feelings,
criminal offense.
i.e. disrespect. I get it.
Sue, guess what?
It's
The
a
United
feeling.
States of America is hurtful to my feelings. The fact that black men are lynched daily is hurtful to my feelings. So don't talk to me about feelings, sister. Do not talk to me about
But I'm
feelings.
saying other people can then pass laws based on that too.
So you mean tell me that?
And elect people
So you
who
mean
don't
tell me?
agree with you.
So you mean tell me that-
representative government, they elected people
lynch
and they
black
passed the
men
law.
daily
So
in this country and black women.
It's
And you
the-
think that's okay?
It's a democratic
And you think that's okay? That's
representative
democratic?
government.
So
I
y'all
think-
Republicans
I
are
think-
so butthurt that you won't even. You say, oh, no, we can't recognize him in a Black History Month resolution, even though he's from Wisconsin. I mean, really? Y'all feelings that hurt?
And won a Super Bowl.
I don't,
The
I don't
same-
think it has to do with feelings being hurt. I just
Well,
don't.
you said
So why? Wait, hold up.
You
Hold up.
wanted
If it's
feelings.
that feelings not hurt, well, why block the resolution?
I just don't think he's worth recognizing.
Neither, frankly,
'Cause you wanna game?
Neither, frankly, is your president and half
So
of the United
stop.
States
Hold
Congress.
on. So you say not recognizing. So is Muhammad Ali worth recognizing? All he did was box.
I mean,
Is
maybe.
Jackie Robinson worth recognizing?
I mean, that's okay.
hold up, Bill.
But you're
one
saying-
second.
but you're
Bill
saying
Russell.
definitively
Bill Russell.
He wasn't chosen to be recognized.
Bill
because of the flag.
Russell.
You don't even know that for sure.
Hold up,
Maybe they just didn't feel like his win or his football contributions were that great.
But
Really?
But guess what? But his
Really?
contributions
I'm
to
just
civil rights.
saying.
That's
you
hilarious.
don't know.
That's
Contributions
Can I
to
ask you-
civil rights were great.
I want to go back to, because you didn't let us comment about the Miami-Dade story. I want to ask you a question for your viewers and for the future about who is representing those firefighters on getting their jobs back. And I want you to find out whether it's the union, right? It's the union. You're going, oh, does it
So
matter? Does it matter?
No, hold up.
It does
Hold up.
matter.
No, what's
On
the
that
point?
Script that you're not even
What's-
funny.
what-
because
what's-
you don't wanna
what's
deal
the
with
point?
I think your
You don't want to deal with the
your
truth.
viewers deserve to know whether the people that are trying to help the firefighters in Miami-Dade get their job back is the union representation. I just ask you that question.
Hold up.
You're off
Are
script.
you?
In
hold up.
unions, many states have a rule called supersedence. And
Okay.
what supersedence means is that a union contract rule can supersede state law. So even if a union worker is convicted of a crime, breaks a rule in a state, they can get their job back.
Since you don't like that,
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
So are Republicans now going to stand with Black Lives Matter to say let's change? No, I'm not done. To change the union contracts of police unions?
I'm just asking whether.
Okay, all I'm saying.
Whether
all I'm
you,
saying.
I'm
Can I
just
just say
saying
something?
Go
you
ahead.
should
Like a
find
little
out
something,
whether
something.
it's the
If I just might
union
just say a
that's
little
trying to
something.
get their
Sue,
job back.
You know what? You
It's an
out of
important
order,
question in
out
that
of line,
story.
I
and
don't
out of
even-
control.
It's an
Out of
important
order,
question.
out of line, and out of control.
Important
You have a question which Roland may answer one of these days, but here's the question I have for you. What's wrong with you? I mean, seriously.
What's wrong with me?
Yes. I mean,
I
Colin
live in
Kaepernick.
a wonderful time where women.
I'm talking, girlfriend.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick deserves to be lifted up and honored. It's
For?
Black History Month, not only for his Super Bowl victories, but also for the many ways that he has advanced the civil rights movement. Why is that offensive to you? Why is it offensive for you
I didn't say it was
to
offensive.
see? Well, you
I just didn't think it was
well, no, you
special.
said they said people's feelings are hurt. Well, you know what? Take your feelings and
I'm not personally hurt by it. I'm just
I don't.
think it's-
Bottom line
I
is
don't
this here.
think it's that
Let's just be
special.
real clear. Republicans in Wisconsin did
cares?
not want to honor Colin Kaepernick because he chose to exercise his First Amendment
Yes.
rights. Period. Period. That's exactly what happened here. It ain't got nothing to do with, oh, maybe I don't like him because he's from San Francisco. No, that's nonsense. Okay? It's utter nonsense. because the bottom line is Republicans in America continue to be butthurt because Colin Kaepernick dared to protest. And that's why the NFL continues to whiteball Colin Kaepernick. That's why they continue to sign some of the sorriest quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life, and they refuse to actually sign a brother who's actually led his team to the Super Bowl because it's whiteballing. And that's what you have here. Speaking of white folks, check this out. Last week it was Gucci with a blackface sweater, and now Katy Perry is in some trouble with her blackface shoes. And these shoes, pull it up, we're going to sell for $129. Katy Perry's online site pulled them down right away, but they were still available early this week at Dillard's, Forever 21, and Lord & Taylor. Now, the criticism, pull them back up, the criticism was because of how these particular shoes look. Folks are like, why are you doing blackface? Now Damon John, of course, who founded FUBU, you see him on the Shark Tank, he has his own view because he says that Katy Perry's shoes and a Gucci sweater, that's not blackface.
You know, it all depends on where the art came from. You know, there's about 15 steps from concept to the end of making garment. Mm-hmm. Trust me, somebody saw that.
Right. How does that go through the cracks?
It doesn't go undetected. Somebody saw it. However, I have to be very accurate about it. If they were looking at old African-American art, if you look at the old jazz art from the 50s and 60s, it looks like blackface, but it's not. Mm-hmm. But if they were trying to play off of it, you know, we'll see later on. I've seen big celebrities who are African-American wear that type of stuff. They didn't get any slack. Mm. But now Gucci's getting the slack. So we have to be very, I don't know the full story. So on the flip side, basically what I'm trying to say is, it probably was contrived, but you never know what they were trying to respect.
Why would they do something like that on purpose? You know, like who says, oh yeah, that's a good idea, put that out?
Because you got me talking about it right now.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's intentional, like for publicity stuff?
I do think so. I think they're really smart. The reason why Gucci's been around so many years, you know, a hot fashion brand lasts 7 years, and they've been around for many more years than that. I think they know what they're doing.
That's Katy Perry's shoes.
Come on. I can't listen to more of that bullshit. Okay, y'all. Damon John has no idea what the hell he's talking about. First of all, the most important phrase he said is, "I don't know all of the story." So how in the hell are you opining as to the motive behind the sweater? The Wall Street Journal did an article with the guy who owns Gucci. He said that they did not have people in their company who understand or had sensibilities of black folks, even though African Americans play a significant role in Gucci and the amount of money they make. He said in the article that we actually target the sensibilities of Asians. That's what he said. So all this, what Damon John just said, oh, they were looking at black art from the Renaissance and from the, y'all, that was all nonsense. Damon John, I respect what you've done, FUBU, everything else. But when you don't know what the hell you are talking about, don't make up some bullshit because the camera is in your face. All you got to say is, look, I really don't know how that sweater was made. I don't really know what the process was behind it. Hopefully, Gucci will look at their policies. And what your answer should have been. Y'all, we had about another minute, and I couldn't even stand hearing the rest of that nonsense because it was all BS. Now, speaking of nonsense, let me deal with another bullshit story. Okay, Senator Kamala Harris went on the Breakfast Club the other day, and she was asked this question by Charlemagne the God, and this is what she said.
What does Kamala Harris listen to?
What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac, for sure. For sure.
Okay, I want y'all to find the full clip. Because first, she was asked, had you ever smoked weed? And somebody said, well, she said, yeah. And they're like, well, was it blunt? What was it? Okay. And she said, when I was in college. All right. That's what she said. Then you heard that question. Well, when you were high, what were you listening to? Then all of a sudden it blew up. Kamala Harris said when she smoked weed in college, she was listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Now, the problem is, she said that was in 86. Well, they didn't come on the scene till 91 and 93. Okay. So all these folks like, Kamala Harris lied because she couldn't have been smoking weed to Tupac and Snoop. Now, let me again deconstruct. And if y'all can find the clip, please do so. The question was, when did you smoke weed? 1986. Then it was, well, what did you listen to when you were last high? Here's what I got from that. She might have smoked some weed in 86, but that wasn't the last time she smoked some weed. She might have smoked some weed. But here's the other deal. Do y'all understand the amount of time these fools are spending on her smoking weed and what she was listening to? Y'all, Fox News is literally trying to have an investigation. A whole bunch of y'all at Fox News should be smoking some weed today because y'all lost y'all mind. Now, the reason to me this is about the dumbest damn conversation I've ever had in my life is because I don't give a damn what you were listening to when you were smoking some weed. I ain't never smoked weed. I got no interest in smoking weed. Hell, my voice is messed up right now because I'm allergic to smoke. But the deal is, we got states right now that have legalized marijuana. I don't give a damn if she was smoking weed or what she listened to. The question is, what's your policy on legalizing marijuana? If you become president, are you going to enforce federal laws that actually is illegal when it comes to marijuana? That's policy. So the fact that these people are spending this much time on whether or not she was jamming Tupac or Snoop or Dr. Dre, or whether she was listening to Ready for the World or Freddie Jackson while she was high, is dumb as hell. It has nothing to do with policy. So folks, do me a favor. Don't fall for this okie doke. Let them fools run around, question whether or not she was listening to Tupac or Snoop. And it really don't matter. It's the policies. It's the same thing down in South Carolina. Oh my goodness. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand asked for a knife and fork to eat fried chicken. She never had fried chicken. I don't give a damn about how she ate some damn fried chicken. What's her policies for the folks in South Carolina? See, y'all, don't make the mistake. Because let me go ahead and say this. Because see, a whole bunch of black people did the same bullshit in 2016 over Hillary Clinton and the damn hot sauce. Because when Hillary Clinton went on the Breakfast Club and talked about hot sauce, oh, Hillary Clinton, she thinks she down because of hot sauce. But the same fools, and there were some black folks who were fools, couldn't do no damn research without realizing that stories were done on Hillary Clinton when she was first lady about her love for hot sauce. But it was construed as, oh, Hillary Clinton trying to get the black vote by having hot sauce. At the time, Beyonce had a song where she mentioned about hot sauce in the song. So all these fools, oh, there she go. She fronting, she trying to play black people when it was a lie. Literally, y'all, stories were done on Hillary Clinton. Y'all, literally 20 years earlier, talking about her love of hot sauce. But some black folks fell for this bullshit by saying, oh, she's trying to get the black vote. If you don't know how to use Google, shut the hell up. Okay? It's about tired of this nonsense. We are literally, let me go and say this. We are literally asking some of the most dumbass, asinine questions of black candidates that we would not be asking white candidates. I don't care about hot sauce. I don't give a damn about weed or when you smoked it or what you listened to. The question is, if you president, what you gonna do about jobs? What the hell you gonna do about roads and bridges and education? What you gonna do about HBCUs?
Come on.
What are you gonna do about health care? What are you going to do about the Civil Rights Division and Department of Justice? What are you going to do about the Department of Agriculture? And when it comes to SNAP, what are you going to do about Health and Human Services? What are you going to do about the EPA and the environment? What are you going to do when it comes to the Commerce Department? What are you going to do when it comes to the Small Business Administration? What are you going to do about Minority Supplier Development Agency? What are you going to do? Do not let these crazy folks in media get y'all caught up in bullshit with Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, because if they not gonna ask white candidates the same damn questions, I'm not gonna play these games trivializing black politicians. And the last thing, for all y'all folks out here who running around talking about, is she black enough? Y'all can kiss my ass too. Because I'm sick of us having this stupid conversation about, well, where you from? What's your background? I don't really know. Do you know how many of y'all were asking Eric Holder that? Where's his family from? Barbados. How many of y'all were asking Harold Belafonte that? Because his folks ain't from America. How many of y'all have been asking Sidney Poitier that? Now, we always want to sit here, oh, we love, see, we getting caught up in silly games. Well, is she African American? Is she black? What does she call herself? No, what are the policies? That's the question we should be asking. But see, not just that. What you gonna ask Sherrod Brown? What you gonna ask Elizabeth Warren? What you gonna ask Kirsten Gillibrand? What you gonna ask Biden if he runs? What you gonna ask Bernie Sanders if he runs? What are you gonna ask all of the Democratic candidates who are running about policies? Oh, and I'm not talking about just, oh, what would be your policy just for black folks? What do you mean your policies, period? What could be your policies if you're black, if you're Latino, if you're gay? What would be your policies when it comes to education, public and rural? Do not let these folks get you caught up in weed and Tupac and Snoop, and not what the real issue should be is public policy. Because right now, we got a crazy-ass man sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue who will lie to our faces. And he got people who gonna vote for him regardless of how many lies he tell and the folks he target. Now, y'all can sit here, ask these dumbass, silly questions and say, well, I'm not gonna vote. Well, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Y'all cool with 4 more years of Trump? Are you cool with the Senate confirming more and more right-wing judges who will be sitting on for the federal bench for the next 30 and 40 years? If y'all cool with that, knock yourself out. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here, spend time talking about Tupac, Snoop, weed, and where somebody smoked it. Ain't going to happen. So, Joseph, Julian, thanks so much for being here. I got to keep my damn voice. But I'm going to be joining y'all tomorrow from Charlotte. I'll be there for NBA All-Star Game, so looking forward to being there. We're going to have a great time being there. Let me also give a shout-out, first of all. Don't forget, you can join our Bring the Funk fan club by going to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Every single dollar. Let me be real clear, y'all. This is an independent show. Okay, we got some sponsors, but the reality is your dollars will actually fund this show. And so we need you to go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to actually join us. And so we appreciate it if you join our fan club. You can give via Cash App, PayPal. You can give via Square as well as all there. So we want you to support our show as best as you can. And so we're asking for an average of $50 from our fans for a whole year, not every month. Now, some people have actually given per month. That's great, but it's all up to you in terms of what you want to give. Also, a shout out. Here we go to my iPad. Shout out to my wife, Jackie Hood Martin. Today is her 54th birthday. And so y'all send her a note on Twitter, J Hood Martin. Also on Instagram, tell her happy birthday. So again, luckily, see, last point. A bunch of y'all got some jacked up spouses because y'all had some general prayers. See, I was real specific with my prayer. I was like, Lord, please send me a woman who likes sports. And so my wife, y'all think I'm lying. I wrote that down. I wrote it down. And so Jackie, she loved basketball. So what we do for her birthday, we go to NBA All-Star game every year. So I'm good. So, look, I get to watch ball, she get to watch ball, everybody happy. And so I'll be broadcasting tomorrow from Charlotte. Of course, NBA All-Star festivities start on Friday. We'll be there tomorrow for Valentine's Day. And so again, I appreciate that. So y'all send her a birthday greeting. I gotta go. Don't forget, folks, this show is about our issues, about the things that we talk about nobody else talks about. It's not about, I don't care what MSNBC, CNN, what the rest of them do. I really don't. What we do here is what we do. And that's why we need you to support this show. Go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, I got to go. Holla!
Once again, back is the incredible.
To stay woke, you gotta kind of work. You gotta work to be woke. When somebody knows about you more than you know yourself, that's volunteer slavery. If we don't connect to the diaspora, then we'll be slaves in the United States of America, because we have to be able to understand what's coming at us. Getting you ready to recognize what you can't see. It's a get down mental foxhole you getting into, and it learns you. Find out how we got backlash. You always gotta keep it like this. This is not a millennial accident. They made the gadgets God. Me as a culturalist and a historian and a musicologist says all this counts. But this is a time where you have to stock as many people up as possible to challenge the information. I think you got to understand who's on the school board, who voted for the judge that's going to lock your ass up. After the vote, now the game is on. Voting is about like washing your tail in the morning. You ain't got to do it, but don't go around saying something stinks.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.